Hey everybody, you're listening to the Damocles Thread, sort of partially playtest, partially demo of the Salmon Fuzzy Underground role-playing system. I'm Ben Walker. With me, you will hopefully recognize dulcet tones of Ed Jones.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Ed, and you're not.
We have Emma.
Hi.
And we have Harold.
Hey.
Alright, now, Harold has been our continuity check person and is deeply familiar with the comic and a fair chunk of the mechanics. Ed is a game designer and very familiar with mechanics and has dealt with the comic ever. And Emma, longtime gamer, familiar with mechanics in general, especially of narrativist systems, but new to the Salmon Fuzzy world. And so we pretty much have the gamut of possible players for the game. From, fans of the comic, fans of games, really wherever you're pulling from. Now let's decide power scale. Who do we want to be?
Well, to give people a good feel for the game, I think it's usually best to start with the most basic, something that you'd be beginning a campaign with.
I'm down for that. I really like the idea of going back to the very early part of the comic where you have that more living paycheck to paycheck sort of story setup. That's something I really liked in the early bit and something that I hope to see in the game.
I definitely would like to play something that will be easy for me to jump into for someone who doesn't know much about the world.
Alright, so in that case, we're going to be spending our time on some starting character creation.
Couple of things that really caught my attention. The first were talking cats, which, if anybody has spent any time on the internet, and I'm sure anyone listening to this has, cats equal comedy. And, of course, looking over a brief description of the rules, I was struck by asshole with a sword. You see them in everything, and they're there, and with the guys who are threatening in the background, waving a sword around, or the guys who line up and one by one charge at the hero. That's hilarious.
We may, at some point, be changing the name of that class, but yes, you heard it first. We have A-hole with a sword as one of our character jobs. Emma, any preferences?
I generally like playing healers and support characters. I also hear there are cyborgs in this world, and would love to do something with that, because I like being a cyborg.
There is some healing, but mostly it's sort of set in the modern times, so mostly healing is a very long-term action. But as far as support goes, transportation is very useful for support, and getting material is good for support. So I would like to show you some of the opening classes there.
Something kind of artsy. How about an artist?
What kind of artist?
I think I want to avoid going meta by being a comic artist. Photographers are rather popular. Let's go photography.
Any thought towards species?
I kind of like the idea of a vampire photographer. Because you have the psychopath vampires, you have the scheming vampires, you just don't get enough of the pretentious arty vampires.
We're going in with an artsy vampire, so what have we got here for support?
Being a cyborg is enough strangeness for me for this run, so a human cyborg is probably what I'm going to go with.
Any idea of what sort of job your cyborg has?
Delivery guy and taxi driver both sound pretty good.
Everybody has generally picked their characters, and we're going through the first part of character creation, which is choosing your stats. What we have are buff, tough, quick, cope, deal, and notice. You guys have seen this in the earlier updates, but broadly speaking, buff is what it sounds like, strength. Tough is how easily you take a hit. Quick is how quick you are, how well you corner, things like that. Cope is how well you put up with psychological trauma, or the unknown or strange things, just your ability to cope, as you saw in our video with Ninja. And deal is basically the opposite, your ability to get past other people's cope, your ability to really just disturb other folks, although that's a subset. But yeah, your ability to make somebody feel uncomfortable and not in a good way. Your notice is precisely that. Your notice is the amount that you can actually pay attention to. Not what you see, that's perception related, but what you can see and care about. Alright, now, your cope and your deal are based on your backgrounds. Everybody here is someone who is capable in the overground, but also has a little bit of underground to them. Like your cyborg arm for your cyborg taxi driver, you're a cat, cats can pass as cats, and you're vampire, and vampires are allowed on the surface so long as they're... Are you decided to be a surface vampire or an underground vampire?
I'm going to go with surface vampire.
Okay. And surface catopian, or actually lives in Catopia catopian?
Think either, probably surface cat would make the most sense.
Well then, while you're ruminating, think of where it is your cat keeps their sword.
I'm thinking someone mobile, like can I be both, above and below?
You can in fact be both. Everybody's going to be at least a little underground.
Pardon me, my good man, I can't help but notice you have a can opener over there. Ah!
Alright, so you want to play that moment happened before, and so you've already found the underground of each other. Okay. So everybody's going to be at strangeness 1. We've all chosen to be dual worlders, so you've got 5 and 5 for your cope and deal, you've got strangeness of 1, that's all handled for you. Then you have your stats that you can arrange to taste. Just to make things quick, what did you choose as your high stat and why? Ed?
Oh, I chose quick because he's a cat.
All right.
If you ever had tried catch a cat, yeah, they're quick.
All right. What did you choose your low stat and why?
Notice. Also because he's a cat. Cats don't really care about much, so he doesn't pay attention.
You took to heart that lesson about notice being about what you care about, not just what you see. Okay.
I took notice because I want to be a character who really pays attention to the world around me and cares about the party. And buff is my low stat because I'm not really seeing this as a very physical character.
Harold?
I took notice because as an artist, you really have to pay attention to the suffering and really get to understand that wound in your soul. And as my low stat, I took tough because I really like the idea of a vampire just being this kind of pasty thing.
So now we'll get into more about backgrounds, because now that we have high notice, I'd like you two to figure out between yourselves who's going to be the center of this little clique.
Emma's character should be the leader of the party because it sounds like she has by far the most stable job. I'll be a Moochie artist boyfriend.
And Ed?
She started out as a normal person that started out as their house cat, to realizing that he could say, "Hey, get the can opener." Things changed.
All right. And what, in that tragic can opener accident is where you lost your arm and needed a cyber limb?
I like it.
On the plus side, you now always have a can opener, which explains why he sticks around. Now we have the hardest part of any role-playing game. You need to figure out names for your character. So we've picked some names. Ed?
I have decided that his name is Klaus because they purchased him on Christmas, and he does not know he is not German.
Harold?
I'm thinking Vincent because that sounds like a sufficiently pretentious name.
Going with Susan because I had a nice normal childhood.
And now the central conflict of our story. You're the boss, so why do you guys know each other? Because you're dating and because you also live in the apartment. So we're going to have our clique be focused around this apartment. Wow. Sam and Fuzzy, the role-playing game, can't be centered around just a bunch of folks sitting in an apartment and then strange things happen to them. It totally can.
You mean like How I Met Your Mother, or Seinfeld,
Or the first 4 years of the damn comic. You all picked your occupations, you've got your powers, you also get to pick an extra power.
Yeah.
We're all picking our hobbies first, and we've got... Emma, what's yours?
Hot Rod Racer.
Alright, now, Ed, you were having a little bit of trouble?
There's a couple of different ones here that I thought were kind of cool. There's cryptic mysticism and idle philosophy.
So you want to be one of those Zen guys with swords.
What is the sound of one paw clapping?
Ow!
Harold.
I was really thinking about maybe going for the Starstruck hobby because I really like that whole skills that gets our hide and trap. But because I really want to get as much artistry out of this as I can, I think I'm going to go with substance abuse.
For choosing your skills now, to represent the life you've lived up till now, you pick 8 points of skills from anywhere in the skill list. You can't take any of them higher than 2. And then you apply the bonuses from your hobby and your job. And so you're going to do that paperwork while we're off mic. The bonuses can and will bring your skill total in any given skill above that too. Alright, so we've picked our extra power. And as you know, is playing a cyborg, so she had to pick handcrafted. Ed, you had an interesting choice.
I chose Where Did You Get That Sombrero? Which apparently allows you to expend a star power and then you're just equipped for the situation. Doesn't get you magic items or cyber gear or anything like that, but you've got some stuff that's going to give you a slight bonus to help you out with the situation.
So between that and your power from your job, basically you're saying where you keep your sword is off panel, along with several other things that you're just pulling in from, wherever.
Yeah, they're somewhere.
And Harold?
Well, I really want to vamp it up, so I'm actually, instead of a general power, I'm actually going to take the vampire-specific species power, the proportional strength of a much larger vampire.
That having been said, we have our starving artist, lovely cab driver, we have our house cat, and we've all picked hobbies. We have a starving artist with a substance abuse problem in an apartment who's underemployed, and we have their person they're dating having some income, and we have another freeloader. I'm thinking this reminds me of a play I may have seen at some point, but more importantly, the problem that you have to face today is that you lack rent. Recently, what with Uber taking away all the cab jobs, yay, topical humor. You haven't been able to make enough money. These two certainly aren't helping. So, your former college buddy who has stopped being an artist and instead has decided to go off and become an art director for a magazine somewhere. He in fact has sold out to Dead Monkey Press and now manages a stable of other gothy artists. He has asked you to work for them, but...
Not selling out to the man. The man doesn't appreciate the darkness of my soul.
I'm going to leave you a couple seconds to come up with a plan for how to deal with the rent, so you know that that's something hanging over your head, and then we're going to start gameplay, and you'll deal with the first interaction with the NPCs of the world.